Good afternoon, boys and girls. It's a nice Sunday afternoon here with a bit of snow outside, and everything is running okay. And we are going to do some plane shift. Why not? So I'm pretty happy I managed to stream 3 days in a row. I would like to do like a streak of 10, but I will not be able to due to work and other stuff. But I'm pretty happy I did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so I actually managed to do some good progress. And so I already advertised on the different channels as usual, and let's just wait. Maybe that some people join, or I can just go. I like to have people with me while developing. I understand that Sunday is not the best day, mainly because we have a lot of US guys following me. In US, it's like Sunday morning from whatever 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. at the moment, so I guess it's not the best time. I will stream for the next roughly 4 hours. I don't have an hard stop today, and so we can go over time, no problem. And okay, so what I was doing, I was testing the progress bar. So let's go back to our mission. If you remember, our mission was to improve spell casting while in combat. Okay, because and by the way, I played a bit of Skyrim this morning just to refresh my mind on how it was working, just to understand better, the setup of the controls and spell and attack. So the setup is very simple. It's very neat and simple. The problem is that for our purposes, maybe it's too simple. So basically in Skyrim, you can associate one type of attack to your left hand or right hand, and if you have a double-handed weapon, automatically you occupy both hands, obviously. And if you select a spell, automatically you have, say, both hands casting the spell. And you can associate to the left or to the right, for example, an axe or a buckler or a shield or whatever, or a spell. And then you just channel for a bit, so you have to press the mouse buttons to channel it for a few seconds, and then you release it, and then you release the spell. The problem of this approach is that if you want to cast multiple spells, you need to reassign the left and right all the time. Now I think it's doable by keyboard as well, so you have you can change the spell with 1, 2, 3 or 4, and then you just use the left mouse button. So, which I think it's okay, but I think in our case what we want to do, we want to have let's say the keyboard itself being able to cast the spell. Say one advantage of the Skyrim approach is that obviously you could move while pressing the mouse button, so you can still use the keyboard and cast. In our approach, you need to press the number 1, keep it pressed, and in the meantime, I mean, you can still move, but it will not be very handy, I would say. It will not be very handy to move that way. So, okay, let's review quickly the mission that we had. So, this is the mission. and we had to change the quick bar to associate the key to a command. It is done. So as you can see in the screenshot here below, there is this key binding, so we can associate a key like spacebar to that particular shortcut, and we can do it for every shortcut up to 10 at the moment. No, 11 actually, because from 0 to 10, so it's 11. And you can associate any keys you want. You also can associate. One second, did I switch the scene? Sorry, I didn't switch the scene. Okay, we are here. Sorry. We can associate any keys like Shift 1, Shift 2, Control 1, Control X, Control something. So Shift something. So any key combination with modifiers, which is pretty cool. And we can then associate it here to this key binding, and it will work for that particular macro. It's called a particular button. Okay. So all of this is done. Then another thing that we did yesterday was to enable the cast command from console. Also, this one is working at the moment, which is nice. And the other thing that we did was to start to create, a widget. Actually, this one I did it this morning. I did it a bit. I mean, I didn't really spend too much time on it, but I started on it. So, well, first we need to have a better graphics, but it's okay. I think we can change the graphics later on. So I just created a progress bar, I don't know how to call it, like this one. And I was testing it in a separate project, because I think the best way is to test it on a separate project, so we don't have to start the whole game, server, database, whatever. And so that is what I did. So I created two images, very simple images. Let me save this under UI. One image is like an empty progress bar like this, and another one is the filled up. Okay, is filled with these different levels, right? And then I have imported those two as textures in Unreal Engine. So you see now these two objects are texture objects, so they are now in the game. And what I did, then I created a progress bar widget. Okay, for now I just did it just as a test. I just placed the standard image on it, and then I placed the progress bar object. So the image, I think I can even remove it. I don't think I need it anymore. So this will be, it was just a test on my side. So this will be the progress bar, and then in the progress bar you can tell the engine which kind of background image you want. And in this case I selected the empty one, and which kind of fill image you want, which would be the one that fills up as the percentage goes up, right? And then you can also test it, because you can change here the percentage, and if you can see, it empty and fills up based on the percentage. So the idea is that while you are casting a spell, this thing will pop up and it will continuously go to the right, so from the left to the right, and when you reach, and this will indicate how much power you want to channel into the spell. And if you go over the red line, which is a bit of a tricky part, if you go over the red area, then the spell will fizzle. You will not be able to cast it. You will not cast it. Okay, so that's the idea. Now obviously we will have to redo these graphics, because now they are pretty basic, so we need something nicer, maybe also with some sparkling effect and some animation. I don't know. We will figure out how we want to do it. Now, now I need to place this into the game, but first I wanted to test it again on this sample project. So what I was doing just at the end of this morning was to associate a key that actually creates the progress bar widget. And if you see here, is creating the progress bar widget. Is setting the percentage to 0 as a default, and then is adding the widget to the viewport, right? And basically, that is the way to have this widget pop up. Now, I was playing a bit with this timeline. I think we have different ways to show a kind of a progressing widget. One way is with timers, so you can put a timer and then loop it, and continuously loop the timer, calling a certain function which is updating the progress bar. Or you can just use a timeline, and the timeline, and you can set up the timeline to have like a 0 to 1, right? Kind of thing, and so it will give you a value from 0 to 1. Now, one thing that I don't know in the timelines is how fast is the update. I think this one is connected to the tick, so to the core game tick. So I think it's done like every frame, which may be even too much for what we want, because doing this update every frame is too much. But still, is not a big update, so I think you can still use it this way. Yeah, so it's giving a value from 0 to 1, right? Which is the good part, and I think I closed the wrong one. Yeah. So in my third-person character, I want to play from start. That's for sure. So I want to start to play this timeline from the beginning. I want to set the percentage. Now here we need to increment the percentage, okay? And we can take the result of the new track 0. I don't know if there is a way to name it. Rename. Yes, you can rename it. So you can call it percent, right? Which I think will be a bit nicer to see. And so this is coming out as a percent, right? And it goes into the set percent of our progress bar, which I think is cool. Now, so this should already be working. Now the point is that this will continue to go up, right? Until you stop it. Now, when do we want to stop it? My idea was when you release the button. So when you release the button, when you release the key, in this case is M, but when you release the key, it will stop it. Now it will not remove the widget, right? Now the question is, should I put here like a sequence so it does stop, and then after he has done stop, he does something else, for example, giving me a message or casting the actual spell, because this should go. Okay, let's test this way first and see what it does, okay? And then we can tweak it, because I don't want to remove immediately the widget. If I connect like here or here, something like remove from parent, I think it will go away too fast, and the player will not have a sense, you know, of what happened. So let me start. Wait, it is the sample project. Huh? Okay. So a sample project, I can just play it like this. So if I'm here and I press M, very nice. Yeah, the black is not a great color. It doesn't reset the widget. So if I press M again, it will not remove the widget. Okay, so this I need to figure out. Okay, sorry, 1 second. I will. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I had to do something quick. Hello, Gian. Welcome. So this thing kind of works. Okay, so if I press M and I stop it, you see, I press it up to a certain level. Now, if I do it again, the problem is that the widget is not going away, but I think we could have like a visual effect, but anyway, overall is working, right? What I would like to do, I would like to maybe delay 1 second more and cast the spell, or half a second. I don't know. I think before, so I think I need to put a kind of a sequence here where it kind of stops first, right? It kind of stops my timeline, then maybe it delays like 0.5 second or something. I think 0.5 seconds could be enough. And then what he should do, he should just remove the widget, right? So he should remove widget, no, remove from parent, right? Of this widget, which is the progress bar K factor. I just don't know if this will work, because actually there is another path and potentially this will not work. I think I need to store this widget somewhere, and then like in a variable, and then remove. I can try, but I don't think it will work actually, because it is a separate path. So it does. Yeah, I don't like the delay. Sorry, I think that is a bit stupid. I did something stupid. I need to do this. So I need to wait the delay before removing the widget. Yeah. So you can see where it landed for half a second, and then it goes away. I think it's okay. I mean, I don't know. It's like a mini game into the game, you know. And I mean, I don't know if it will be more annoying than anything else, but what will be the point? What will be the point? The point will be. The point will be that based on the value, so the fact is that when we stop, we need to read the current value. But I think reading the current value is pretty easy. So I can just take my progress bar and just, I think it's like get percent or something. Yeah, like get percent. So this will tell me how much my bar is. Right? Don't create another widget, assign it to a variable. Yeah, but it seems to work anyway, also like this, because this one, it seems to work okay. You mean for memory point of view, like that we are creating a widget every time and it's annoying? You see, so like now we did 0.79, 0.78, 9 so. Now the only point is, how do I know what is the maximum level? I think the maximum level is 0.8. For some reason I painted perfectly. So 0.8. So I could scale back, 0.8 to, so the point would be if so this will be casting the spell. I think this part I can do directly. So casting the spell I think should happen immediately. So as soon as I have finished my casting, I don't have to wait this delay. This delay is just visual aid for the player to see the result, right? So I'm printing the result. Then I could do what was the thing? I don't remember if it was lerp. I think it was lerp, right? So if I say that I want to go from 0 to 1, no, if I want to go from 0 to no, I need to retarget. Well, I can just do a multiplication and it's easier. I need to retarget this number from 0 to 8 to 0 to 1. So the point is this percentage stays to 0.8. So if I do this percentage divided by 0.8, I think it will be okay. Right? So so this will come out as 1 if it's 0.8, and it will come out as I don't know, 1.1 if it's above, right? And if it's above means that we are in the black area, and the black area is considered that the spell will fizzle or will not work, right? You will not be able to cast the spell. Map range clamped, yeah, exactly. I think that was the one I was thinking. Yeah. But I think if I divide it by 0.8 should be okay anyway. I mean, it gives me the same result, I think. So what do I do with this? I think I just compare it, I want to know if it is greater than 1. If it's greater than 1, then my spell kind of fizzle. And if it's less than 1, well, it should be equal or greater, actually. Yeah, exactly. Because 0.8 is already failed. No. I think 0.8 is good. No. Like this, greater than. Yeah, greater than. So this fizzled. If not, here we will cast the spell. Okay. Here we will cast the spell. So this will be cast spell with power. Okay, with power, whatever. We just printed it out here. Okay. So we can. Yeah, but let's do it just for fun. So this will be cast spell with power, and then here I will just have my no, I need the one that is retargeted to 1. Okay, and this goes here. So this one I can avoid also printing it. I don't think I have any need to print this. Okay, good. Yeah, I think it will be something like that. So in this example, I'm pressing M. let's go all the way over. Spell fiddled. Okay. Spell fiddled. Cast spell with power 0999. Very nice. I nearly catch the sweet spot. I catch it again. 0993. Ah, I went a bit too much over. Ah, I went too much. Okay, 997. Wow, 997 is very nice. Spell fizzle. Okay, I think it's okay. It's like a small mini game into the game, you know. I don't know if it will become annoying after some time, but while if you just press M once, you will just cast the spell as it is, you know. You will just cast the spell as with no specific power, you know. So with I mean with standard power, with standard 100% power. Which I think is cool. Which I think is what I need. Okay. So I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. We just need a better graphics for the gouge, for the progress bar. But apart from that, I think it's as simple as this. Now the only problem is that I will have to know. I will have to. Now there is another big issue, because in my real project, right, which is this one, my real project, and not in the example, my character blueprint. Yes, here. My character blueprint is mapping all these key bindings, right? All these key bindings. And these are all going to quick bar execute commands, okay, which is nice. Now the point is that here I will have to intercept if we are casting a spell. And if we are casting a spell, we need to do that thing with the timeline and stuff, which by the way is working only outside of functions, if I remember right. So we need to move it back to the standard player controller. So basically here I will need to have, I mean, the setup is fine. I can still call the setup, this is not a problem. But execute, where is it? I lost myself into this. Because we are in the Win shortcut now. Then the execute macro. Execute macro. We will be inside this window, so the shortcut window, and we will be executing this. Now, in theory, I may have a macro. Yeah, I can make it an event, yes. In theory, I can have a macro with multiple cast. So that it's casting more than one spell. That would be annoying. I mean, that would not work in our case. That would not work. Because that would mean that no, we cannot do it. If we have multiple casts into the same button, it will be a bit hard for me to intercept, because, well, I can also intercept it inside of this. I can intercept it. Macro is executing. I mean, when I get the actual line, I think I'm here. It's before this thing. Text commit event. So this one is going into WinChat, yes, and this one is just submitting the message into the chat. But this has to happen after my widget has shown. So I need to intercept here, and here I will do. The problem is that being an event is so annoying because it means that I have to stop the execution. This fucking timeline thing is annoying. I will have to stop the execution, go to an event in player controller, execute my timeline, show the widget, and then when the widget is completed on the stop, I will have to call this function. Well, I can still do it anyway. I can still do it. I will call that function. So I think I think I need a branch here. I need a branch here to understand if it's a cast command. Now, the problem is that in this case, I'm executing a macro, but I'm not pressing a button. I'm not pressing a key. That is annoying. Because yeah, I can intercept it at this point. The problem is, how do I know that the guy pressed a key when we are inside this function here? Because actually he may have just clicked a button on the UI to cast a spell with then at that point 0 power, or a specific power. No, I need to intercept it before this. I need to intercept it before this, or I'm making a mess. Let's say that I intercepted. I need to. I mean, if I intercept it at this level, here I have my pressed and my released, right? So that is the two that I need to understand if the guy is pressing the button or is stopping to press the button. So, or I pass a parameter, to quick bar execute command, which I can also do when it's released, or when it's released, or I just store a reference to my. Yeah, I think the easiest is that I store a reference to my progress bar, which anyway will be only one at a time, and then when I'm releasing it, I just stop the timer. But can I go into that and stop the timer? Assuming the timer started, I don't know, because this timer thing, this timeline, can I stop a timeline based on an event? Like, let's go into the other project. So because this timeline, basically in my real project I will arrive from two different events. One will be the press events that will go here and start the timer, and I think that part will work okay. So I don't think I will have any issue with that. But then I will have another separate function which will come with the released, and I will have to stop the same timeline. So the question is, can I get a reference to this timeline somehow to stop it? How to get a reference to a timeline? I mean, can I get a reference to a timeline? By the way, I had here the open code. You remember that yesterday we were searching for input code get display name? Yeah, that has been added into 423 or 424, because if I go and check the source code, is different from the one I have in my Unreal. So they added this function in the latest releases. So the problem is how to use timelines. I don't know why they called it timeline, because timeline is also the animation object, and so sometimes you find the results, you know, which are referring to. They're using timeline to pretty simple stuff like opening a door, you know, things like that. But I think he's always using. Oh my god, it's also going to C++. Create default subobject static root component. I think it is just creating the object. Timeline callback. I don't know why he's doing it in C++, but probably there is a reason. Maybe here he can store the reference. Timeline callback bind u function. So it's binding the callback of the timeline to a function, right? That's interesting that he has a yeah, because in blueprints, can we have a callback? If you just branch the event to the stop, it may work. Yeah, the point is that I will be coming from a different graph, you know, and the fact that I can place timeline. The problem of timelines is that you can put them only in the main event graph of the player controller. So there is no other way. So if I have an event that is going to play from start, then I have another event that is going to stop. I don't know if I can just drag this other thing and put it into the stop, even if it's coming from a completely separate event. There is a bit of my hang up, you know. And I can test it, maybe it will work, but I don't see, for example, here a timeline callback. Maybe I can set a callback here somewhere. Add event track. Create external core. Synchronize. Add vector track. Add event. The fuck is an event track? What is the difference between these two? I mean, one is the percent, okay, it goes from 0 to 1. This one is called event. track. It's like I was hoping I could add an event or a callback or something here, but add selected could asset, add a color track. Where is a color track? Add key to all curves, show curves. Okay, this one is really RGB kind of curves. Okay, this one I understand a bit better. It's the event one that I don't get too much. Right. Because in C++ there seems to be a callback, you know, for, but when I look at my graph, I don't see new track 1 exec. New track 1 exec. This one became okay. This one became a pin. I don't understand exactly what's the point of this, but it seems that he added a new pin, which is this new track 1, so I could connect. So I think this is the event, right? If something happens, so if you reach a certain value, so I could say like if you reach a certain value, I'm triggering something outside. I don't know, maybe this is the way it's considered, but I don't understand too much how it works. I could read it, but I don't know if it's what we need. I don't think it's what we need. I think because the other way is to do it with a timer, you know, and the timer I think is somehow simpler because the timer, first of all, the timer we can put anywhere in the code, in any function, in any place. The only disadvantage is the timer is not automatically executed at tick, so at every frame, but is executed whenever you schedule it. But you can schedule it at 0.01 millisecond, you know, so every 10 milliseconds. So it can still be relatively smooth in terms of user experience. This one is super smooth because it's calculated every frame, right? So that's why it looks so smooth. So I think I would like to keep this one, but okay, we can try to port it and then play in my real project. Or I can try to say, I can try to simulate it in this project. Like if I have a function, I'm trying to understand how to do it. Because here I have an event or a function or whatever. Is this an event or a function? No idea. It's a function. Quick bar execute command. So I could have this function here, which goes and does what? And checks if he has a cast spell. Okay, so it will go here and check, like from this one, it will check the first line and see if it's a cast spell. If it's a cast spell, it will pop up the widget and it will start the time. But already it cannot start the timeline, you know. This one cannot start the timeline. So this one will have to have a return. This function we need to have a return, so an output, and in the output we will have to say it's a spell, start the timeline. Okay, so we can do that. Then we go back here, and here there will be, then I have to place the timeline in this mess. Then I have to place the timeline here. I mean, I can do it, huh? I can do it. I can put the timeline in this graph, and like here in the middle. Now all the graphs will go to the timeline if the result of this function is that is a cast spell. The timeline will tick, will execute a bunch of stuff, which we can also place in a separate function. That would be fine. And then when this is released, I will call the stop. The problem is that, you know, the stop will come. I don't think it is good. I don't think this is gonna work. Hello, Zwei. I don't think it's gonna work if I have multiple ones, no? Like, and also it's making the code very messy, by the way, because it means that I have to put the logic of casting spells here in this view, which I really don't like, because this is just the mouse input and keyboard input, and should be inside a separate function just to avoid the cluttering. But okay, for a second let's try to see. Okay, so if I connect this here, right, which will be actually here, play from start, right? So the point is that the released will have to come. No, I mean it is only. I mean I cannot do this, you know, because otherwise when I release another button which is not the same spell, it will stop the timeline, so it's not gonna work. Well, let's say that I have only one pressed at a time, but if I press like 1 and 2, like key number 1, I don't release key number 1 and I press number 2 and then I release number 2, this timeline will stop. It would be a bit of a mess. You can create event branch. Is to stop when you call that event will stop the timeline. You can branch multiple pins to the stop. Yeah, I can branch multiple pins. Yeah, I can branch all of them. The problem is, so I will have like a branch here that says, is it a spell, yes or no? If yes, it goes to the timeline and starts the timeline, and the update can call a function which is popping up the widget, updating the percentages and doing all of that. Okay, fine. But then if I connect all these other release to the stop, then if I stop pressing my another quick bar, it will stop the spell. Maybe it's acceptable though. I don't think you can cast a spell while you're casting a spell already, right? So I think it's acceptable that if I press something else, it will automatically stop my timeline. I think it could be fine. I mean, it's not great, but it could be fine. Problem is that I will have to do the same also for all of this, so it will be like 1 million lines here. It is really what I don't like, you know. It will be 1 million lines. Is there a better way to do it? I mean, considering that I cannot put a timeline here, right? It doesn't allow you to add a timeline inside of this. It does not allow you. But wait a second because I've seen something interesting. What does get timeline 4 does then? It is kind of interesting. So I can access the timeline. Can I stop it? Yes, I can. Okay, so the component has to be in the main graph. But then when it's placed, it automatically becomes a variable that you can use from inside the function. So you can actually manipulate it somehow. Right? I can play from start. The problem is, how do I get the result, you know? How do I get my percent? Because I can get the current play rate. Boys, if I cannot get the result, I can just start and stop it, but I cannot get the result. Well, I could place the result in a variable from here. When it's finished, meaning that the stop happened, I can place immediately the result into a variable, and then I can read it. Yeah, but the fact I can access it through is pretty cool. So in reality, I could have my timeline not connected to anything, right? I could just have my timeline sitting somewhere separate from the code, and then just reference it and play it and start it. The only issue is this update. How can I trigger this update? I don't think I can. Can I update? No. That's the problem. That's the problem. I cannot. Components timeline. Let me see. Components timeline. And the only thing I can do is to, well, there is a bunch of stuff, but set vector curve. Now, I would like to get my result or play the update, but no, I can just stop it and start it, but I cannot do so. Yeah, so unfortunately, the update of the timeline needs to stay in the main graph. So this thing has to be connected. It's very annoying. You can't use anything inside any time inside a function. The execution of the function is so fast. Yeah, I'm just thinking if I can, you know, trigger the play instead of triggering the play from here, triggering the play from the play and the stop. Okay, the play and the stop, triggering it from inside this function, because inside of this I can get my timeline 4. So I could do quick bar execute command, right? So this is just checking. So here, before this, I could have a branch, right? Before this I could have a branch, and the condition is that the first line, so I would do like a get 0 of this thing, and if this one starts with /cast, right, ignoring case, then here we are in the case in which I'm casting a spell. And the only problem I have is that I'm not 100% sure I'm coming from a key press. Huh? Or am I? Am I 100% sure I'm coming from a... Yeah, I'm 100% sure, because this is triggering only if I am on a key press. So I could do this, which is basically check if a macro button is a spell, or a macro key, whatever, is a spell, is a /cast spell, right? So in that case, I mean, if it's false, I just go here and no problem, right? If it's true, then something very different should happen. If it's true, this is generic, right? Yeah, nice. So if it's true, I can just get the code I have here for creating my progress bar widget, setting the percentage to 0, adding to the viewport, starting my sequence, but then the play, right? The play will be just triggered from timeline 4. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay, no? Do you see any problem with this? I think I can create my widget. Can I copy the widget from the other project to this project? I think I can. If I copy UI, and I copy my texture and my progress bar 1 and 2, copy, and I put it like in my UI something. It should be under game. Is it a window or is it a widget? No, it's a window. So in theory, it should go inside of this. It should also be renamed win something. So if I put it here, let me see what happens. Window, yeah. The only problem is that this one has to be called T progress bar for texture. I think we have a T for texture now. I think so. And it's connecting to source control, but this one is not in source control. Okay, fine. Where do we have the texture? The texture for the UI, we have it under art actually. Okay, for now I will leave it here. But so this one also has to be added to the source control. Can I? No, I cannot. Refresh. Okay. Why I cannot add it to the source control? No idea. And this one should be renamed win progress bar. I think I already have a number of progress bars here. Let me check, because we already had some WD progress bar. Why is it called widget? Actually, it's a window. Anyway, in this case is a window because it's a k factor. So let's call it win progress bar k factor. It's a bit of a long name, but at least we are sure we are not messing up with that. Okay. It should work. No, I have to reset the thing. I copied it, but it didn't really like it. Didn't like the fact. Which one is the empty one? I think the empty one is number 2. Let's give it a name which is reasonable. So let's call it progress bar empty. Progress bar empty. And this one we call it when it's updating the source control, it's doing so much stuff. And this one we call it fill. Or maybe one should be background. Okay, but it's okay. Empty and fill, I think is pretty easy. If you do multiple casts, there will be a problem with the time. Yeah, but the point is that in theory you cannot cast. I mean, you cannot start casting and then start casting again before you finish the previous one, you know. So it will not be allowed by the game anyway. You cannot cast spells in parallel. I mean, it would be nice. Like with the left hand, you cast a fireball, and with the right hand, you cast a magic missile. But it's not the way it works in Magic, right? It's not the way Magic works. So progress empty, progress fill, percentage. Okay, it works okay. I don't like the black. I think the black I should change it to purple or something, but because the black may not be visible, it's okay. It's okay for now. Okay, I think this widget is fine. Now, what was the point? I need to construct this widget. So I will construct my progress bar k factor. Yes. And then, what is this symbol? It's saying that there is a video. Why? There was a video here as well? Yes, there is. Okay, good. So here I need to just take my progress bar k factor, setting the percent, adding to the viewport, right? So I need to do this. Can I just copy this into the other project? Maybe. No. Get progress. Okay. So here we are setting the percentage to 0, and then we are adding it to the viewport. Okay. Now, what I was doing after this I was triggering the timeline and then setting the percent on the update. So that's the thing that fucks me up, you know, because I can try to call the start of the timeline, and I think that will work. So if I go like get timeline 4, by the way, I think I should give it a better name because timeline 4 I will never remember it. Let's call it timeline k factor. Timeline k factor, okay. And by the way, I should also update the graph because at the moment I think there's no graph. So I need to create two two new external points. This one which goes to 0, 0. The overall length is 1. Then I need another point which goes to 1, 1. And I would stretch the timeline to be like this. And that's it. Holy shit. Why it says it doesn't compile? You have the server running? What is going on? The asset character blueprint failed to save. Okay. Why doesn't compile? This blueprint is not a user widget. Therefore, target must have a connection. Okay, it doesn't like this. Yeah, I need to add to the viewport this guy. Why was affecting my timeline? I have no idea, but the asset failed to save. The hell? Do we have the server running? No. Why so annoying then? Error saving PS character. Error saving PS character blueprint. What is the thing? It's not locked. Doesn't have issues. It doesn't compile. What the hell is going on? Doesn't like this thing, I think. No? Let me delete it. No, it doesn't save my... What is going on, boys? Is there a real engine running? No, it's only the editor. Console window host. I understand what's his problem. I can close the other project, but I cannot close this project. Why there are two windows, by the way? What is this second window? This one is just the starting command. It doesn't want to save my PS character anymore. I don't know why. The asset PS character BP failed to save. Okay. I mean, I didn't do a lot of changes, so I can just reopen the editor. I mean, I didn't do any. I mean, I just moved this to the right. I don't think I did any. Okay, I will close the editor. Don't save. Don't save. Let me see if there is still a Unreal Engine editor running for whatever reason. It doesn't look like. Seems not. What the hell was that? Never happened to me. It never happened to me. I could make the function set percent, get percent inside that widget to be clean. Ah, yes. I think I can, yes. I think it's a good idea. So it stays within the widget. But set percent, get percent. Okay. Okay. But a set percent will be one box, you know. And the set percent call will be one box as well. So I'm basically trading one box for one box, but I mean one node for one node. But okay. So let me see if I open again my. I mean, I really hope my PS character will never corrupt because PS character has so much stuff into it. If for any reason we reach the maximum size or something, we are fucked. I don't think there is a maximum size, but how big is this file at the moment? Let me just see just for fun. Blueprint PS character blue is 6 mega. I don't know what is the maximum a blueprint can have, but I guess that our blueprint will become huge. I mean, our PS character will have, it basically has all the logic, most of the logic, and all the functions going back and forth. Okay, let me try to save it. Oh my god. What is going on? Failed to save. It doesn't want to save my blueprint anymore. I will delete it and take it from Subversion again. It's up to date anyway, so why the action cannot be completed because the file is open in EU editor. Where is this EU editor? There is no EU editor. This is exactly what I was checking for, but there is no EU editor here. Delete it. Cannot be completed. Oh my god, do I need to restart my PC? Here is it. There is a ghost EU editor which was stuck for something. Is using 8% CPU, is very high consumption, so I will just kill it. I don't know why I didn't see it before, but probably because it was not listed under apps, was listed under background process. That's what. Okay. Hello, people. I see more people connected. Okay, there was this lingering Unreal Editor process somewhere. Okay, so I just want to add the timeline. Now, the timeline, now I think I will be able to save it. Should I put it here in the middle or... no, I think I can put it on the side because anyway, everything will be triggered. Yeah, will be triggered. Only the output is there. So this timeline will be timeline k factor, and I need to add a function. Add two keys. One keys will be 0 0. Now we know how to do it, huh? This key will be 1 1. I can stretch it. This one will be 1, and it's okay. Okay, fine. And do I have to do anything else? No. Okay, now it saved it. Finally. Okay, so inside my quick bar, yeah, I have to redo it. Fuck. Because this was inside PS character. Okay. So what was it? We had a branch based on if this macro get 0 was starting with /cast, right? /cast, and in this case, he has to do something different, right? So it is check if key is a cast command. Okay, and if it's not, like we said, I mean, if it's not, just goes straight. If it is, we have to redo this. We have to create a widget, which is of type progress bar k factor. And now I have the other project closed, but okay, I think I can remember. So this one is just getting my progress bar and is setting the percent to 0 because I want to be sure that I start from clean, and then I'm adding the widget to the viewport, and then here I'm starting my timeline. So that is the one that is getting get timeline k factor, and I can call start, play from start, right? So this will be, yeah, so this one will trigger my timeline. Now the problem is that so this will be start timeline. No, this is show cast spell widget and start timeline for k factor. Whatever. So now I have my timeline started. Now I have my timeline started. The problem is that my timeline is here. So I need to make a function for the update, for sure, which is the one that we had in the other project, which I will reopen just to see what I did, because I don't want to reinvent the wheel another time. So I will right, if I go here, so my timeline was just simply setting the percent. Well, that's easy. The problem is that it's setting the percent of the widget, and this one I don't have a reference to in my in my character blueprint. So, or I return it as a no, I cannot return it. I have to set it to a variable somewhere. I have to set it to a variable, right? Otherwise it will never work. So I will have to wait, I'm in the wrong project. Okay, so when I create the widget, when I instantiate my bar, I will have to keep a reference of this into my player character, right? And so that I can then set the percentage of it as the time goes on. Yeah. I think that's it, right? So let me create a new variable, which will be a UI pointer. actually all the UI pointer we usually create it inside PlaneShift player controller and not here. But all of this is getting executed inside PS character, so I think it should be fine. Let's call it progress bar K factor, and this will be of type progress bar K factor. No, progress bar. No, progress bar. It's just a progress bar. It is of type progress bar. So progress bar, yes. This one will go into UI pointer, so we move it from here. Okay, so now it's inside this category, and what I wanted to do, yes, I wanted to set this variable. I wanted to set this variable, right, to this. Okay, so we have it. So we have it is in our player controller, which is nice. Now we start the time, we start the timeline, and here then we can just update, so we can just get this because now it's set, and we can just do a set percent. Yeah, I just want to call it percent, which I like it. Rename percent. Okay. And here I will just connect percent to percent. Okay, so this thing basically when kicked in, when started, it just updates the progress bar, blum 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 blum, continuously. Now we need it to stop, but the stop is also easy because when we, well, in the stop, what do we do in the stop? In the stop, we do a bunch of stuff. We stop the timeline, but we also add a bit of delay, remove it from parent, and calculate the percentage, and actually cast the spell. So all that stuff should go in a function somewhere, right? But should be only if the timeline is running. Only if the timeline is running. So can we do a check if the timeline is running? Do we have if running or something? Timeline K factor is playing, is active. There is an is active, is looping, is playing. No, there is an is playing. That's very nice. That's very nice. So I could just branch immediately, and if he's not playing, I don't bother, you know. And only if he's playing, I stop it. Why I want to do this? Because anyway, if I come to the release, and it was, yeah, because it may not be a timeline. It may not be a casting of a spell. So yeah, I want to bail out as quick as possible if it's not a spell, and I don't want to do the comparison with a string because it's so stupid to compare strings, by the way. Never compare string, boys. It's a very bad idea, but I do it sometimes. So what do we do? I lost track. What do we do? We are here. So we set this. So yeah, when we release, or we call again the same thing, just with a different parameter, and we branch at the beginning. So this graph doesn't become insane. Or I create another function, I connect all the release to the same function. So there would be like a function here, and there would be like 11 lines going into this reroute, you know. It will be all the release going into this shit. No, it's too complex. It will become like this, you know. It will become like a wave of lines, and all of this will go into a function which will be called check end of casting. And check end of casting will take my timeline and will just do the stop and do everything else. Only if the timeline is playing, which means that we are casting a spell. Or there is one way, or the other way is to connect it to the same thing but pass in a parameter. This will be even more annoying because anyway I will have to duplicate it. No. I think it's better with the wave of points. I think it's better this way. I mean, it's not great, but it's fine. Now the problem is that this will happen every time I press a key. No. This will happen every time I press a key which is associated to a key binding in the quick bar, right? So potentially if the player starts to spam 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, you know, it will continuously execute press release, press release, press release, press release, press release. It will go inside of this. It will check. So it will continuously doing this string comparison, which is so annoying. But anyway, it will continuously do the comparison if the string of the first is a spell or not. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking if we extend a bit the bar to have like a flag which is cast spell, we could avoid all the string comparison. But I don't know if the player really wants to do that. Because I don't know. Let's keep the string comparison for now, but it's a bit annoying. It bothers me a bit, but it's okay. So if he spams that, it will go inside of this. We'll do the setup of the execution of the macro. We'll do the execute macro. Then we will find out that there is something that is already executing, right? Because it will reach this macro executing. No, it will go through. It will do this other comparison. It will do. I remember there was a kind of a safe lock if the macro was executing already. But the safe lock is up here. Branch macro executing. The safe lock is on the click, is not on the, yeah, but this one we need to do it, otherwise it's a mess. We need to do this. We need to safe lock our thingy. Where do we do it? I mean, can you execute multiple macro at the same time? That's the question. Or do we want to have the macro sequentially? Like you are casting a spell and at the same time you're saying hello to someone, right? In theory, you can do it in parallel. So our lock, our safe lock here, yeah, because our safe lock here is done on the single button, you know. So if you are pressing again the same one, then it does not allow, and that one didn't finish, then it doesn't allow you to do it again. This is when you click on the button. So when you are here and you click on vulnerable, this thing, right? You click on this. So if you click it like 20 times in a row, it will just execute once. But if you use the key binding, so if you press spacebar like a madman, then we don't have at the moment the safe lock. So if you press spacebar like a madman, it will just execute the whole thing. So or we put a lock by ID until that ID is completed. And I think we have to do this. I think we will have to do something like that. I think we will have to do something like that. I mean, the server side will anyway refuse, okay? So even if you are pressing cast, you know, a million times, the server side will anyway not allow you to do it multiple times in parallel, right? So you will come back with an error which is saying you are already casting a spell. So it's anyway safe locked on the server side. I'm just thinking client side for the execution of this stuff if we need to safe lock it. Considering it's safe locked server side, I think we can ignore it. It will still spam the server, eh? It will still spam the server by pressing 111111111, and we'll go to the server, coming back and say, sorry, you're already casting a spell. While if you could catch it on the client side, it would be maybe a bit more optimized. So I think it can be a nice optimization to put like a lock on the client and not allowing people to spam the server with commands that anyway will not go through. Yeah. At the moment we are streaming on Twitch and YouTube. So I see some people on Twitch. Hello Twitch, and many people on YouTube. Hello YouTube. So if you have any question, please ask. Okay, so we have this lock thingy to do. Okay, I think that would be nice if we could lock here. We can put maybe a comment here, like fix me in the future. We can put like a comment here, which is prevent player from, can have a to do, or you fix me, prevent player from issuing multiple times same command if command didn't finish yet. Client side, I mean, we could do that. It should be like in the middle here. Okay, at the moment we don't do this, okay, because I want first to see the casting working, but this is something that we could do. Now, now we are here. We need to connect. We need to create a new function, which will be k factor something. Will be magic in combat. Will be under magic in combat. Yes. Will be a new function. Yes. It will be called. K factor widget stop. K factor widget stop and cast. Now let's call it cast spell widget cast spell cast spell from key binding. Cast spell from key binding, I think is easy to recognize now, right? So cast spell from key binding will be connected here, because when we release the button, only in case the timeline is running. So well, I could do something like, you know, I could check it here. Actually, I could check if my timeline something. Is the timeline appearing as a component? Yeah. My timeline, if my timeline is playing or is running, we said it's playing, right? If my timeline is playing, it means there is a spell, 100%, right? So in that case, and only in that case, I will do this. Okay. So yeah, this is basically checking if you are casting a spell. If we are casting a spell, do I like it more like this, or like this, or like this? No idea. I think I like it more like this. So like if it's a procedural thing, you know. So timeline, if timeline is playing, then true, then do this. Okay. If it's false, we do nothing. Right? If it's false, we just do nothing. Easy. If it's true, we go here. Okay. So now let me save this. Now what do we have to do here? Well, we have to do the same thing we were doing here. So first thing, we need to stop the timeline. So I need to get my timeline again. The fact that you can get the timeline as a variable inside a function is so good. It's so good. So basically you just place the component in the blueprint, in the main graph, but then you can manipulate it somehow. I mean, it's not perfect, but you can manipulate it somehow. Now the problem will be, how do I get the percent? The percent will have to be set to a variable every time, and then I will have to read it. If the timeline finish when you are still holding, yeah, I don't know. If the timeline finish when you are still holding, no, but I think it will finish anyway, no? Because if you are, I can check in the sample project. Finished, print, finished. I think if it goes after the end of the timeline, which is 1 second, it will come to finish. That is my assumption, but I don't know. We can test it. So I will keep M hold. You see, I still have M pressed, and it said finished. So it will actually go to finish. So we have to be sure that when we call, so that the outcome of finished is anyway going into our casting of the spell. That's annoying, because it will fizzle only at the end. It will fizzle only at the end, yes. Yeah, I think we may have an issue. I mean, when it's finished, I can call the same thing. Now the problem is, what happens if is exactly at the same time? So I I stop my key press and the timeline finished, am I going to call this thing twice? This is the only thing I'm thinking now. But for sure when it's finished, it should do this. For sure it should do this. I don't know what happens, you know, if it's finished, and because the finish will go here, and then I release my key, and it will go here again. But the is playing will stop it. No, okay, it's fine, because the is playing will stop it, so we'll not go here again, right? We're going to false. So I think it's okay. So if I release the key before the finish, I will go through this, and then I will go through this again when it's finished. We have 3 cases. I mean, if I release after the finish, nothing happens because it's just executed once. But if I release before the finish, I think it will finish twice, because when I will call the stop, I think it will also call finished. I'm getting confused. I'm getting confused of what I have to do. So I have 3 cases. The first one is that I release before the finish. If I release before the finish, this one I don't need, right? It will just go through this. It will check that it's playing, and it will go here, and everything will be fine. The second case is that they are exactly at the same instant. I don't know if this is possible, and so at the moment I will assume it's not possible, but in theory it's possible, but I don't know. If I'm releasing my key exactly at the frame my timeline is finishing, because these are 2 separate events, so in theory it's possible. And then the third case is that I release after it finishes, and so I release after it finishes, and so the is playing will not trigger, unfortunately. So this branch will stop, will not be executed, and so I will never cast my spell, which is probably what I want though. I mean, it's exactly what I want. I will not be able to give a message, but if you go over the widget, I mean, if you go over 100%, it will basically do nothing. Now, it would be nice to send him a message and say, you know, hello, you messed up. So yeah, it would be nice anyway to execute this function. The question is if the stop also call the finish, because I can connect it here, right? I can connect it here and it will fix the third case, but the first case will be fucked up, right? Because yes, if the stop calls the finish, then I will go through twice. Well, I could just call the stop from here, no? I could just call the stop, and then I assume that if stop also calls finish, I'm good. What do you think? I mean, if it's playing, I stop, and then in any case, when it's finished, I go here. Now, if I release after the finish, it will just branch here, and so will do nothing. Yeah, I think this way it kind of works, right? We just need to know if when I stop is also calling finish, but I'm pretty sure it does, because I mean it makes sense, you know. So let me see. Here we are. calling stop when so if I stop before, I want to see this message, okay? So if I just press M once, fuck, it's not doing it. It's not calling finished. It's calling finished only when he arrives at the end. Fucker! Okay. It's not. If I just press M quickly, I don't see the finished. Okay. So no, stop doesn't call finished. Unfortunately. Stop does not call finished. So I need to call stop. What if I call, what if when it's through I call stop and then I call finish myself? So so let me think about it, huh? So the first case is I release before it finishes. If I release before it finishes, it goes here, he sees that it's playing, he stops the thingy, and then it calls my function to see what is the current value. Okay. If I release after the finish, this will never trigger, but my finish will trigger, which will go here, right? So I think it's working like this, right? Do you like it? I think like this it works. Now, so the stop is already done for us. So inside this function, we should not stop, okay? Because the stop we did already. So in the other project, the first thing we were doing, we were stopping. Then we were having a bit of a delay. So here we had a kind of a sequence, right? We had a bit of a delay. What the hell? Don't tell me I cannot delay inside a function. Holy shit. I think I crashed the editor. Boom. GG editor. No? No, I gave an exception, but it didn't crash actually. Break link to pin execute on node remove from parent not reciprocally linked with pin. Holy fuck. Delay. I cannot delay inside a function. Ah! I want to die. Okay, I cannot delay inside a function, boys. Okay, it's fine. Don't panic. I cannot delay inside a function. Fuck. So annoying. Okay, so we need to delay here. So basically, we need to delay here. What I want to do, boys. If my timeline is finished, everything is finished, or is stopped. So in all the cases, I want to do a bit of a delay, and then I want to do a bit of a delay, and then remove the window. Okay, I can do it here. I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, it's bad, but it's not too bad. I thought it was worse than this. So I do a bit of a delay, and then I think I will add one other one here. I want to do a bit of a delay, and I want to remove my window. Now, which window is it? I have no idea, because I created it in another place. I created the window inside of this thing, and this window, I created the widget here, and I'm not storing a reference to it. So you know what? I think we can store a reference by changing this one. Instead of pointing to a progress bar, we point it to my progress bar window. Yes, change the variable type. I know you will be very upset. I know you don't like it too much. So here we do get progress bar k factor, and here we set the %. Okay. So we have a reference to the window, otherwise it will never work. And the other point is here. We don't store this, but we store this. Okay. Fine. And we get our progress bar something, and we remove it from parent. Okay, I think it's fine. So we I think it's fine. So what are we doing? We still have to set this % into a variable. I think here we need to set it, otherwise you can't use any time thingy inside function. Why? The question is why? Why? Everything is a function. Also my character blueprint is a function, no? At the end, I mean, what is the difference? You should just delay the function. The function will execute, and at a certain point we just wait. Why? Why? There is no reason. There is a reason. Why delay not in function? Why? With 3 exclamation points, which usually brings you more results, you know? Delay in a function, why not? Can even be my post, because I think delay in a function, why not? Why not like to use delay function? My problem is I can achieve because functions are executed in a synchronous blocking manner. The calling function having code waits for the function to complete. Delays can be used in event. Okay, but the calling function can wait a bit more, you know? Just wait that the other function is waiting for it. Hello, this is an intentional limitation. I provide a link to answer the question. We provide additional information. Also include a quote from the same page and answer the above question. All this information helps. This feature is a design constraint. It will not be changed. It's like GG, huh? This is like GG, like no way. The reason is that the function have returned values and can be called from native code. Okay. Because things can be reliant on return value of a function, we don't want to break the game thread waiting for the code to finish the line. Okay, so it's basically because the game thread is running, is calling the function, and is one thread, and so probably because events are generating new threads, while functions are not generating new threads, and so the main thread will wait, which is a bad idea, and that I understand. It will freeze my game. It will freeze my game, boys. Okay, fair enough. I would say fair enough. You also say make it a great day, so I would say it's like you spend a day to fix it. Yeah, so the problem is that I did it with delta seconds on a tick event and a bool. Okay, this guy tried to break the system, you know. This guy said, fuck the answer of this Unreal Engine support, I'm gonna do it anyway. This guy wants to do it anyway. It said, I did it. I'm inside a function. The tick is calling final event. I want the delay at the end of the function before it starts again. You might be able to do something similar in a non-tick event while using a while loop. So what this guy is doing? This guy is actually breaking the game, I think. Let's see what he's doing. Set tick delta second. We don't know where this is coming from, but quick adjustment, branch delay, true, real second, tick to second, add pin. What the fuck this guy's doing? Branch through delay. He's setting a variable delay, which probably then is used somewhere else to understand if he wants to do the delay or not. Yeah, but this is a kind of an easy trick. I mean, I understand what he did, but at that point, just do it outside, no? I mean, it's just setting this condition to tell the other engine how much he has to wait. I don't know. I was hoping for something more game-breaking. More game-breaking. Okay, so where were we? I lost myself. We were yes, we were in this nice function here. We were delaying, removing from parent after some time. Fine. We are now checking if. Yeah, I need to set this into a percent because I cannot set percent of the progress bar. I need to add a new variable which is k factor progress bar. Now let's say progress bar k factor percent. Wow, what a variable, boys. And this one will be a float, and this one will be inside category UA pointers, and this one will be set here. Oh, we finished the space. Where are we? What a mess. Okay, I will just move it a bit to the left, I guess. So here we set this thing to be the same percentage. So while it's ticking, it's setting this variable, right? It's setting this variable at every tick. Setting this variable. Now, when we are inside of this, what do? We don't need to do the delay anymore because we did it. But we had all this nice code, which I don't know what it does, but I will just copy paste it and then we think about it. Okay. This was checking, was getting the percentage. I don't think we need a sequence anymore. Is getting the percentage, which is this one. Is dividing it by 0.8. Nice hard-coded value. And Yeah, it's 08 because I decided it's 08. That's fine. No, the remove from parent we don't need anymore. Then is branching based on that, and if it's greater than 1, you fucked up, so the spell will fizzle. And if is false, you will cast the spell. Nice. Nice. Okay, now what we need to do, we just need to connect this to the real code, you know, to the real cast. I think I connected it already. I connected wait a second, I connected the quick bar. So the quick bar, the quick bar was already executing the command, right? The quick bar was already executing the standard command. So if you just click on the button, it will just go with no, I think it will mess up. No, because here we are coming only if we press a key. Okay. So now it will work, because you will have like / cast summon missile 75, right? And by the way, I think we should multiply it by 100, because now we have a percentage and there is a number, right? I think so. It's between 0 and 100. I don't know. Is the casting, is the K factor 0 from 0 to 1 or 0 to 100? That's a very good question. Let's check. PS spell power. Depends on the script. K factor. K factor. I need to check, or in our database, or I can just check production. Let me just check production, is easier. The production server, if I go on the rules, and if I go, sorry, I'm on another screen, and I go under math script, and I go under cast spell. Is there a cast spell? No. Is there a cast something? No. Is there a K factor? What is K factor? K factor is inside spells. Each spell probably is under each spell. We have power. We don't have K factor. What is the difference between power and K factor? In all the scripts we have power, not K factor. Power level. Get spell power level. Get spell power, 1 second, because I really need to understand power level. Get spell power level evaluate. What is the name of this math script? Wait. Power level. Spell power level. Okay. There must be the definition somewhere. Okay. Calculate power level. Okay. calculate power level is doing oh my god, it's doing power level equal to 1 plus k factor multiplied by k factor divided by 10,000. Holy shit, this formula, boys. If you want to see it, it is the formula that we have in production. If you want to see it. Is this one? K factor divided multiplied by k factor divided by 10,000. What is this? I want to understand if it's what is it? No, I want to. It doesn't draw it. I remember it was drawing stuff, no? What was, I don't remember how was the thingy. If you want to draw a formula, I'm pretty sure he was doing it. Exactly. So why don't like x multiplied by x divided in 10,000? Why you cannot draw? Now it does. Because maybe I have an x uppercase. If you have an x uppercase, it's fucking up everything. This is x multiplied by x divided 10,000. So do we know? So do we know if this is a percentage or is 1 to 100 or 0 to 100? We don't know. We don't know. I mean, it will work both ways, you know. There is the function though. Yep. It's a kind of a exponential, the opposite way. Okay, so I have no idea. Do we know how the hell is our k factor in our game? Do we know how our game is? Do we know? We know nothing. We know nothing. If I do cast a spell, is there any plane shift players here? If I do cast summon missile 75, should I do 75 or should I do 0.75? That's the question. I don't know. Where do I find this answer? Where do I find this answer? Yeah, I know where to find this answer because it was, you remember in the code, it was saying, was clamping the K factor between 0 and 100. Yeah. We did it yesterday, boys. Is here. I know. You think I don't know, but I know. You think I don't, but I know. Wait. K factor. No. Spell manager was inside one of these things. No, it's not named K factor. Why K factor is not finding it? Because it's uppercase and lowercase. Okay. No. K factor. Look at this. Clamp K factor the same value between 0 and 100. Okay. So this has to be between 0 and 1. Okay, fine. Okay, why we did this? Because we wanted to know. So we have to multiply this by 100 basically, okay? Before passing it into our castaway function. So we do this check, we multiply, we scale. If fizzle, it doesn't fizzle. Okay. Sorry, we're in the wrong project. That is the right project. Okay. So here it fizzles. Now I need to multiply this. So cast spell with power. This I like. The only point is that I need to multiply this one by 100. Float. Yes. Yes. And then we need to cast. Now, how do we cast it? We cast it because we cast it the same way. We cast it just by executing we cast it we need to do some parsing here because I mean the guy may have put we have a bit of an issue here because the guy may have put in the shortcut, you know, he may have put in the shortcut something like /cast summon missile, and in this case everything will be fine for us because we just take this, we add at the end the power factor, and we are good. The problem is if the player decided to type in the command this, and so if he type this, he will cast it anyway at that value, right? But we should disable it, otherwise they will cheat. Otherwise they will cheat my system, right? They will just type in the chat /cast summon missile. So we have to remove this from the code. We should not allow anymore to cast a spell unless, I mean, any number that is coming from the chat should go to 0. Otherwise they will cheat the widget. I mean, for now I can leave the option. Hello Abdini, how are you? For now I can leave the option, but obviously if we allow them to type this into they will always type the value that they want, and they will skip my minigame. They will skip my minigame. They will skip my minigame. Yeah. Yeah. So actually we need to disable the fact that they can issue the percentage from the shortcut. So how do I do that? Because they can type whatever they want into the shortcut, so they can type whatever they want. How do I disable it? How do I disable it? Considering the command is anyway going through, oh my god, I think we have a major issue here. Because the command is anyway going through chat. I didn't think about this. So, do we want? There is a usability player question. Do you want the people to be able to use the casting bar and at the same time be able to type /cast summon missile 75 or not? Because if we allow both, obviously the fizzle is a bit stupid, because I mean, who will ever freaking go to fizzle, you know, if they can just type it on the chat. I mean, making a button and clicking the button, you know, would be much easier. Would be much easier. Would be much easier. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm thinking. I think I like this thing. It's a nice mini game into the game, but it's fucking up our chat system. Because or I completely disable cast spell from the chat, right? Or I have to disable cast spell from the wait a second, someone is calling me. 1 second. Phone call I really need to answer. There was no way. I had to answer to that. I'm back. So the question is, if you want to if you want to use the spellcasting widget, if you want to use the spellcasting widget all the time or not. Because if you want to use the spellcasting widget, then the command from the command line is not making a lot of sense anymore. Or anyways, it's kind of cheating. It's cheating the widget. Right? For now, I can leave both, but I think that people, because then people could create, one shortcut for each power level. So like, I don't know, 25, 50, 75, 100, and then just click one of them this way instead of using the widget. Or I disable it, so it's not possible anymore to use that command. So /cast is not enabled through chat, but it goes through an RPC, it's going through just a standard remote procedure call of Unreal, and so that would be. But this means that I don't have then to go through the execute command, because now what I was thinking to do was just to connect this one to execute command, right? So I could take the macro. Now, do I know? Wait, sorry, I'm not in the right project. Do I know what macro we are executing? That's a good question. Do we know? Well, we know from the ID. Yes, from the ID we know, because we can just get Windows shortcut macro. We can just get this, and we have our macro. And so we could execute this. Now, I think I need to disable it, boys. Otherwise, would be annoying. I would just not allow. It's a pity though, because like when you cast it with the default. Or I could say that whatever shortcut you place is always at power 0. That is probably a better solution, That's probably a better solution. Let me sketch it so you understand what I mean. So we have multiple ways to cast a spell, right? We have multiple ways. We have one way which is through this, and one way which is through this. So you just click on a button here where you scripted /cast summon missile, right? Or you use the chat and you type in the chat /cast summon missile, or you use a key binding. So you press, for example, I don't know, Shift 1, assuming that you have assigned Shift 1 to a specific command, and this one is doing a bit of a trick. So is actually, if you press Shift 1, it's like if you are pressing the button somehow, and the button is going, let's make it different, but the button is going to a cast command anyway, which is now going into the chat. So it's just a simplification, right? It's just for your ease of use, but it's just doing this. So at the end, what today arrives to the server is anyway a chat command. Okay, so the server received cast summon missile 75. Now the problem is that if we allow, this one, what I forgot is that this one this one is going through the widget, right? So if you press Shift 1, you are actually activating this thing. If you press Shift 1, you're actually activating this thing, which is then is not clicking the button, but is reading what is the macro about, and is then calling summon missile with, you know, the power, which is, I don't know, 75, right? The problem is that you have all these different ways to do it, and you have all these different ways to do it. I don't know if I want to allow all of them now that we have the widget, because if I use the widget, it is all fine. But if then the guy says cast summon missile 75 here in the chat, right? You can type 75. Why not? For sure you can. And so in this case, the widget will be skipped, and you will just get as a result 75. Obviously, it's to type it, which is very annoying, so it will not do it. But what it will do, it will just put it into a command here in the quick bar, and the quick bar will do cast summon missile 75. So the point would be that when you are using the quick bar, you know, we cannot disable the ability to put a value. And so if you want to script it in a button, you can only script the basic version, which is cast summon missile. But you will not be able to do 75. From here, I don't care too much actually. From here, I mean, if they type all this stuff, well, they will copy paste it. They will copy paste it. So I think we need to remove it from here as well. So basically the cast command will not accept a third parameter anymore. I think that's the only solution, boys. The cast command. Was there an handle cast here? I don't remember where was it. I think it was in user manager. Handle cast. Yeah, this one. So this one has to be modified. This one has to be modified so that it doesn't allow, so the third parameter is allowed only if it's coming from the widget. The problem is that the client is the client. The client can be hacked. The client can be changed. So my freaking widget can be hacked so easy. People can just script this and decide the level they want. The only way to avoid hacking on this would be to do it server side. Would be to do the actual widget, the mini games, but all the mini games could be hacked. I mean, whatever mini game we do, unless we do them server side, which is probably the best way, but they could be hacked somehow, which is annoying. Which is very annoying. But yeah, I think that the idea here is to disable the third parameter here, and then maybe having another function which is called handle cast from widget. Okay, so here we will not allow the third parameter, and then we will have a handle cast from widget, which will take 3 parameters, and it will have directly the spell power. I think this is the best way. I cannot think to another way. They can still fake it, okay? So they can, if they hack the client, they make a new client. The new client could send exactly the value you want, like with a slide bar or with whatever. So the mini game will like go away. The mini game will go away. To make it safe, there is no way to make it safe anyway, because even if I put it server side and it's just pressing of a key, they can script the fact that the key is pressed for a certain amount of time, always right, you know, always at the level that they want. So being a key press, I don't think it can be made safe. I'm thinking, but I don't think it can be made safe. Do you have an idea on how to make it safe? I don't know. Hello, I see new people are joining. Welcome to the stream. So for now, I think the best for me will be to create a separate function which is called handlecast from widget, and this will take the basic command, okay, which is fine, which I think we will parse the same way, but then it will take the third parameter as an explicit parameter, which is the k factor. What is the benefit? What is the benefit? Or I can just put it at the end of the string and reuse the same code. I can just put it at the end of the string and reuse the same code. Yeah, maybe. Or I can just call this one, because actually we have it, you know. So we have this k factor. Well, the only thing that we have in addition here is that we are checking the spell name, but at the end we are calling this. So we could, in theory, from our widget, we could just call this thing. Yeah, I think it's probably simpler. It's probably simpler. So let's make a new function, okay? And I will put it in player controller, because this handle cast I think is coming from our player controller. So I can, right? This handle cast. No. No. No, it's coming from execute command. Yeah, I remember. It's coming from execute command. Exactly, it's coming from here, which is then going into handle user command. Yes. No, we do another specific function for casting spells. I think it's okay. It's so specific, you know, that and so at that point we could completely disable the /cast as a shortcut. Yeah, okay, let's do this for now. So for now we keep both options, but in the future we will remove the second one, okay? So I need to go here and let me see a good place. So here we have quests, character interaction, character creation. Do we have anything about combat? Character interaction, quest, inventory and exchange, stats and skills, merchant window, storage window, crafting, banking. Holy shit, we have a lot of stuff, boys. Combat. Okay, I think we can put it under combat. Unless there is magic. Yeah, no, let's go. Let's do combat. We can create a new one called magic. But all the stuff about glyphs. Where is all the stuff about glyphs? Receive glyphs is here. I put it under spells. Okay, we have a spells category. Okay, so let's use the spells category. It's better. We have a spells category. Which I guess is stops here. So we will create a new function. The new function will take two parameters. Oh my god, I have it already. Is it? Why I have it already? Ah, because it's the one that I use when I click on the UI from the spellbook, I think. Right? Let me see when I call this one. But yeah, I have the function already, boys. We have it. I think this one is called from the spellbook. Cast the spell on PC. Cast spell on PC, which is coming from Win Spellbook. Yes, exactly. Cast the spell. Now, in terms of K factor, I think we are always passing 1. Yeah, actually this should be 0 as a default, but let me see if I then from the code request the cast the spell. It's very good that we checked because we actually had it already. And then it is calling this with a K factor of okay, maybe we can put a comment here that saying K factor from 0. Oops, what happened? K factor from 0 to 100. Yeah, we can call this function. I think it's the easiest. We can call this function. Now here we are not having the K factor as a parameter, which I think is a bad idea. Why we don't have it? I think I would like to add it. Why not? Let's add a K factor here. And this one will be a float. And K factor will does this is pretty funny. K factor will go here, and then as we said from here, yes, it will be as a default 0, which is okay. So from the spellbook you are casting it. I have to compile this first. I think I need to order some food, guys. I need to order some food, but it will be pretty quick because I think I can just copy paste another order. Let me see. Let me see. Yes, exactly. Exactly. My last order was this. When was it? Middle of November, 1 month ago. I think it was a good order, this one. And yeah, exactly. Okay, I ordered the food, some sushi, some very nice sushi. This restaurant is super good for sushi. It's a bit pricey, but it's a bit expensive, but it's very nice. Okay, so they will arrive in about 1 hour. Okay, that's fine. So what I was saying, yes, so we need to, yeah, we added the K factor here, fine. As a default, we put 0 as a K factor, which I think is fine. Now we can reuse the same function, which is the request cast spell, so which is exactly this one. And we can reuse it from my new code, which is inside character blueprint, right? So here we can I lost myself. Magic and combat. I completely lost myself. We were inside. Okay, this one, execute command, show the spell widget, set the percent, and then play from start. Okay, nice. Then here, okay, we are here, cast spell from key binding. Okay, so I think here what we need to do, we just need to call this function, request cast spell, which is actually on player controller. So we need to get the actual player controller of this character. Now, if he's an NPC, good question. If he's an NPC, well, if he's an NPC, all of this will go through the other code, so this will not be affected at all. Yeah, which I think is nice. Yeah, I think it's okay. So I can do just from here, which I'm in PS character BP, I can just do get controller and it will be fine. I just need to cast it obviously to plane shift player controller, because otherwise, it would never work. And here I will just use request cast the spell, right, which we already have in the code and is already calling the right function, because we saw that this one is calling spell manager cast spell exactly with the right information. Now the problem for us, I mean, I can get the K factor easy, but the problem is the spell name, because the spell name is in theory the first line of the macro, right? Is it a better way to do this, or is there a better way? Well, we could have, yeah, we could have, like I was saying before, we could have a specific function for shortcuts which are assigned to spells. But I think it's a bit of an overkill. I think we can just leave it as it is, you know. Players are not stupid. They will understand that it's not working, and they will just place one line with cast, and they will see that the first line is working, and that's it. So I don't think... Hello, Hula Jump. No pizza near. That's a very good question. The problem is that pizza is below the threshold of delivery in terms of money. So I will have to buy like 3 pizzas if I want, if they want them to deliver it to my home, because actually I live not exactly in the city. I live next to the city. Well, I live so it is the city, okay. So it is the city. Well, there is also a river. There is a river. I try to explain you why, because there is actually a reason. There is the river, eh? There is a bridge, and pretty much here is the city, okay? These are the buildings. Now after the river there is a very nice hill, and I live on top of this hill. So there is a road going up for sure, but the problem is that not all the delivery is coming to this place, right? Only the delivery that have a car or a motorcycle. The bicycles are not coming here, otherwise it will be too hard for them to go up this road. And so there are only certain services, and those services have a minimum threshold to bring the food, and the minimum threshold, it ranges between 20 euro and 15 euro depending on, but usually is 20 euro. So if I want to order a pizza which usually costs 6 euro, between 6 and 10, but let's say that yeah, it costs between 6 and 10, I will have to take minimum 2 pizzas or maybe 3, right? And then I will have 3 pizza here, and I don't know what to do with 3 pizzas. I can eat pizza for 3 days, but it will be too much, you know? And so my option is, instead of buying a pizzerini, to buy something that is more costly but more nice, like sushi. And so I decided to take sushi, which is costing me, the current order is 26 euro, which is quite a bit, but it's very nice. And I can eat a bit of it also tomorrow, maybe, because there is a piece that will probably remain. But and yeah, and so that's what I did. That's the answer to your question. So now, how do we get the spell name? How do we get the spell name, boys? How do we get the spell name? The spell name, in theory, is part of the command. So we should get the current... can I pass it through this thing? So maybe it's easier if I just pass it as a parameter, right? Because we call this from here... no, but we don't have it here. Well. I need to pass the ID. Holy shit. I need to pass the ID. No. Really? Yeah, I need to pass this ID. Oh my god. Oh my god. It will be a million lines. Ah. Fuck. I need to pass this ID. So what's the best way? The best way will be, or we set into a variable and then we call quick bar execute command just with that variable, which would be nice because we can also unclutter a bit this view. Or there's not much else we can do. Or we just pass, or we just after this no, there is no way. We have to set it as a variable, as a temporary variable, here. The good part is that we will unclutter the this view. Do I have another way? Is there a better way? How do I know this button ID? How do I know this button ID? What if he clicks? What if he clicks multiple times, multiple keys, and this ID is not the same as the one that started the cycle? Because in theory, you can press the shortcut 1, go through all this cycle, and while it's running, you press the shortcut 2, and then our variable will be fucked up. So this is what I'm thinking. So in theory, it should be in the same flow, in the same flow from start to end. The problem is that this thing is completely asynchronous. So can we store it? Can we store it in any place? Can we store it on the stop or on the finish? No, we cannot, because we know it here. And then can we store the value while we are here? Probably not. This is annoying, huh? This is annoying because I need to redo this piece. Well, not redo, but just change it a bit. So let's say that I set this variable, okay? So I promote it to a variable. This thing is becoming a variable, and the variable will be called temp button ID. Okay? So temp button ID, I set it here for each of these things. So I will do a set temp button ID for each of them. Then I will call the quick bar once, just with the temp button ID. That would be very nice, because this will have one block only. Then my button ID will be available through this. I will go through the timeline. I will start the execution. So inside of this, I will start the execution. I will start the execution. This thing will tick. This thing will tick. It will execute this. It will set the percentage. It will set the percentage. It will complete. Now the player, because it is a very annoying player, it will just click on another button before it finishes. And now my ID is fucked up. And then it will cast another spell. That's absolutely unacceptable. It is unacceptable. Because it will cast another spell. It is unacceptable. I need to lock it. I need to safe lock it. So to be sure that As long as this cast spell has not been completed, it cannot go through this again. So I need the variable, I need the safe lock, and I need to call then my function inside of this. That is the only way to ensure that we are not messing up. Right? And this is only for spells, but I think spells is a big part, of the game. So I'm not scared of adding nodes for spells. I mean, if it was like a smaller thing, I would be annoyed. But considering his spells, I think it's fairly good. Okay, so let's do this. So I need to set this variable temp button ID. I need to set it to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah 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 for each of those. Then all of them will have to call one command only, which will be like this, which is very nice because it will be only one guy. With my temp button ID, because that will be instant anyway. So here there is no chance of messing up, right? There is no chance of messing up, but I need. So instead of all of these commands here, I can remove them all. I can just have a set of my variable to 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All this one can go away as well. So this should just be, and then I need the safe lock thingy. Now where do I need the safe lock? I need the safe lock, I need it before this. Isn't better if I make a function then? Yeah, I think it's better if I make a function that I call here, where I'm setting the thing and I'm safe locking the quick bar. The problem is that this should happen only if it's a spell. No, but I think I can do the safe lock inside of this, because it should happen only if it's a spell. So the safe locking will happen here, will happen. So here we will lock for addition. Yeah, exactly. So I think we can keep this. We can change all these values. And 10. So we'll do that. So we set this. Now the problem is that if I safe lock before if I safe lock after setting the ID, I'm fucked anyway. But until I have the ID, I don't know which kind of command it is. The safe lock is a bit annoying to do because thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. So here we set the ID, okay, and then we just call this thing for all of them with the right ID. Yeah, we'll make the graph a mess. We'll make the graph a total mess. can we like route here and let's see if I can make it slightly nicer. I mean, it's still a mess, but yeah, it's still a mess. It's still a mess of a graph. Yeah, it looks pretty messy. It looks pretty messy. Is there a better way? I don't know if there is a better way, boys. Is there a better way? I mean, I can give it more space so it looks a bit less, you know. So like this. Can give it a bit more space, but I mean the result is pretty much the same. So we need these values. I mean, we need all this to go here and then to set in the quick bar. Now inside the quick bar we know if inside the quick bar we know if our button ID is a spell or not. We only know it inside of this. So I think I can do a safe lock here. You see, it is exactly this to do that I already mentioned here. So this is the safe lock we need to do. But for now, I think we can skip it. Okay, it will not work perfectly, but I think I don't want to do the safe lock now because it's a bit annoying. But I think we can put it there. Okay. Now this executes, right? This executes. Finally, I have my ID set up, so I can pass it here, but I don't need to pass it. I can just use it. So to get my spell name, I can get finally now my ID, and from my macro, what was it? I need to do exactly this, the same as this. Target, what is target? Target is my player controller, which in this case is myself. Okay, I can do that, no problem. I can do this. It's a bit of a long thing, but it will be executed like in a millisecond because it's just straight calls, you know. It's just a cast, a get controller, get shortcut, which is a specific function, get macro, which is another specific function. So this will be done in 0 time, and here I will get this value, right? Exactly. So we'll get this value. Now, all of this is just getting me the right macro. Now, from the macro, what I will do, I will just take the first line, very easy. So it will only work with the first line. So if you have a macro that is multiple lines, it will not work. And I assume that the first line is actually the spell, which to me is absolutely reasonable, right? So this will go here, this will go here. Why I have controller twice? I think you can just remove that then. Okay. Okay, nice. So this will actually cast the spell with the given K factor that we calculated up front. Okay. So that's good, I think. Hello, Don Brett. Welcome back. I saw you were here already the other day. Yet continuing our journey to create an MMO, or better, to convert our MMO to Unreal Engine. and make it better. Okay, so I think this will work. I think this will work because the code behind this is all working already. The code behind this is all working already. So I think if this goes well, this should go well as well. I think we can test it. I think we can close the demo project. I don't think I need a demo project anymore. Okay, so what we are expecting to have? Well, we are expecting that when I launch my server and client, assuming that my macro are all there, and I think they are, all my shortcuts are there, I will have one shortcut with cast summon missile. So I will create a new one so that we have one which is actually a real spell. You made a grapple hook? That's very nice. So it's bringing up your characters, and your character is kind of following the hook. That's very nice. That's very cool. So you throw it, and then your character somehow follows the line, and the line is disappearing somehow. Or how do you manage the rope, the extra rope? Okay, so you just change the visibility. Okay. Yeah, but it should be piece by piece, no? I mean, as you approach the target, the rope should disappear slowly. I mean, piece by piece. Like if it's getting, I don't know how to say in English, but like if it's getting into the, if it's going into the box, I don't know how to call it. But anyway, it's pretty cool you did it. Okay, so let's change our shortcuts. Let's make a new one, because anyway our shortcuts are working until 11, so we can leave those things where they are. We can change this one. Yes, which is, by the way, is already summon missile, so we will call it summon missile. And as a key binding, we will bind it to shift 1 just for fun. And there is already one that is shift 1, and we will change it too. So this is 1, 2, 3, and this is shift 1. Okay, I hope that when I press shift 1 is not triggering, right? I hope so. Okay, so now we have it. So if I press shift 1, okay, the engine crashed. The engine crashed. Wow. The client crashed, or the client crashed? Holy moly. We managed to crash the client with blueprints. Crashing the client with blueprints is really something. Okay, so let's see if we have a log of what happened. Okay, we didn't. We crashed. Yeah, we crashed the client, but we crashed it in C++ code because I called the request cast spell client side while I should call it server side. So that's the problem. Okay, I think that's the only. That should be the only issue. So I call this thing. I call this thing. I should not call this thing. I should call. I was surprised, in fact. I mean, I was really surprised the client was crashing. We should call this thing cast spell on PC. Because this one is then going server side. Spell info. Spell info. Spell info. Good question. Spell info. Actually, we don't have the full spell info here. We only have the spell name, which, by the way, is the one that is used. Because if I look here, then only spell name is connected. But in theory, okay, only spell name is connected. Let's use that only, but it's not very clean. We should. But it's okay. I think it's okay. It doesn't like it. It doesn't like it. Okay, so I think I can do this. I can recombine the pin. I can make a network spell, which will have these values as 0, hopefully. And I can connect this and then this. Let me see if this is something that he likes most. No, the same. Why? Because it doesn't like to have an empty array. Well, a null array, because in this case it's null. But when I call it here, actually is empty, no? Cast spell on PC. So why is complaining about it? No, because actually here I added the wall spell. Actually here I had the wall spell. I had the wall spell. Set selected spell info. Spell has been selected. Let me just check if I think here I had the wall set of information. That's why it's not. Spell selected. Spell selected. Yeah, I had the wall spell somehow. I had the wall spell. So I need to create a fake one. So I guess in this case is okay, but it's not the best. So I think at least for this one, I need to create an empty array. which is a bit annoying, but I need to do it. It's okay. I think now it will work. Yes. Now it worked okay. Okay. You use the timeline, so it slowly disappears. Cool. Very nice. Very nice. Which kind of game is it? Is it like an action game, like a platform game, an MMO, or what is it? Okay, so I think we can test it again. Now we should call the right one. Okay, so we have our summon missile shortcut here, right? I crashed, so it was not saved. Okay. I think because the client crashed, it didn't save it. Strange though, because it should have saved it. He should have saved it, no? Strange. That's okay. So if I press Shift 1 now, you don't know how to you don't know a spell called cast summon missile. Okay, it took the wall string actually. Yeah, I need to cut off the first piece. But it seems that it worked, right? Why the thing is not going away? So let me put it to a more reasonable key. I just wanted to test Shift 1 just to see if it was working, but yes, it is working. But let me put this one just as 1, okay? So it's a bit more, it's easier to use. Why this widget remained on screen? I think it's when I clicked multiple times. Why remained on screen? By the way, is on top of the quit, so I cannot quit anymore. I can just type /quit, I guess. Yes. So there was a case. I was pressing the keyboard a bit, but I was like stressing it out, you know. So I was, and it didn't remove the widget. I think that is the problem because we are always creating a new widget, which was what Gion was saying before. Yeah, and you are saying it again now. Yes, don't call create widget. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea to create a widget like this. I mean, it was working in my sample project, but here in the real project, we should not do it. In fact, we don't do it for anything else. All our widgets are all centrally managed in the W container. They are all centrally managed in the W container, and we should do the same with this one. Even if it's not visible, you know, we should add it to the W container, because anyways a widget we will reuse continuously. So to do that, being a window, I need to change a bunch of stuff, because adding a new window to this system is not that simple. You think it's simple, but it's not. So first I need to go inside W container. You say that is the container of all the windows, and it's capable of turning them on and off, and you know, scaling them and doing whatever with all the windows. Also changing the skin, I think. So we made it in a way that is, let's say, it's kind of a super class for all of those things. So and it's also managing the position, the saving of the position of the window, so you can move it and all of that stuff. So it's a long time I don't do it, so I may miss some steps, but I think that the point is that I should just add here a new canvas. Okay? I should add here a new canvas, which is canvas panel. Right? I should just add a new one here. We should be a child of no, why put it as a child of a grid? Go back. No, should be a child of canvas top. Okay. Exactly. Like this one. Then this one we move it, I don't know, here, and we give it a certain dimension. Our dimension actually was 445 by 98. 455 by 98. Okay, this is the thing. We have to name it properly, so we will name it canvas K factor. Right? Canvas K factor. And now inside of this, I don't remember if I need to add a window. No. There was something else I had to do. To make it a variable. Yes, this has to become a variable. And now is available to be filled and to be part of the, yeah, still my server running. Now is ready to be filled and to be part of the windowing system. So now I need to go here, and in the main graph of the W container, I need to add a new window. So I will add a new element to this array, and I will select our canvas K factor, and I will add it here as number 22. Okay. Now I need to name the window, if I remember right. I need to name the window in our window mappings. We have somewhere here EPS window, should be this one. Yes, and the point is that they should be exactly in the right order. So I should add a new value, call it K factor, and then I need to put it after the guild. So this will be the 22 element. The order is important because then we do a number of stuff with the order, which I don't remember now, but is required. I remember that is required. If it's the wrong order, it will not work. Okay, now that we have that window in, considering we want to have a reference for it, considering we need to have a reference for it, I don't remember. So the create all window, I think it was all automatic, right? I think this thing was completely automatic. I just need to change these variables, which are under window data. Yeah, exactly. So at the moment, window data has 21 elements. I need to add a new element here and say yes, because there is what? Draw a border. I don't want a border, so this would be without a border. And window visible, I need to add another element. Yes, the window will be visible at default. No, not visible as a default. Can it be closed? No, it cannot be closed. Can it be resized? No, it cannot be resized. Can be moved? Yes, I want it to be moved, so I will flag this. Canvas array can stay empty. Active window can stay empty. Now the height limit. Actually, I don't have any specific. I mean, since you cannot resize it, it's not a problem, but I will still provide the right value. Okay, so 455 and 98. No, wait. This is the height limit. So it will be 98, 98, because it cannot. Sorry. And the width limit will be 455, 455, because this one cannot be changed. Default screen position. That's a good question. Default screen position can be, I would say, 50 to 100, something like that. So just below the, so like in the middle, or even 400, I'd say. Then default window size. Default window size will be 455.98. Window classes, we need to add a new class, and this will be our win progress something. Win progress bar k factor, okay. And deco array is to stay empty. Okay, I think we added everything we needed to have this window to actually show up. So now our W container is aware of the fact that we have a new window. Hello, Shakama. How are you? So now our new window is aware of the fact that this exists. Okay, so I don't think we have to do anything else. No, we still need to store the reference. So to store the reference, yeah, in this list, I need to add a new one. So I need to add a new block exactly like this one, which is if the window equals to my k factor, then I will branch exactly the same code. I will branch, and it is connected here. If it's true, I go to cast to win underscore progress k factor, and the object is this one. Then if it's false, it goes nowhere. If it's true, I take player controller reference and I set my shortcut. Now this shortcut I need to add, because I don't have it yet, is on player controller. So on player controller we have a number of UI pointers, which is this, and so I need to add a new one, which I will call win k factor, and this one will be of type win progress k factor, okay, and will be part of UI pointers. Okay, good. So now we have the reference in player controller for this widget, Okay, and it will get created automatically and not be visible. Okay, it will be created automatically by our windowing system. Now inside of this I will do set win k factor, and I will set it to this. No, I will set it to yes. I will set it to this. Okay, fine. So this will be store the k factor window handler in player controller. Right? Okay, so we have that window as well. Did I do it right? Did I miss any connections? Seems not. Okay, nice. I think it's fine. So now my window will be unique. Now my window will be unique. And so I don't have to create it anymore. I just need to make it visible and not visible. Okay, so this is what I need to do. So I need to go back to our code where we were handling the window. Yeah, exactly. So I think we were creating the window here. Exactly. Instead of this create, we will just take. Are we in player controller? No, we are not. So we need to get. Do we have a player controller reference though? Eh? Yeah. I always forget that we have this player controller reference that we set, so we should not do the cast and all that stuff. We can just use this. So from this one, we get our window k factor, and instead of creating a new window, we just make it visible, right? So I think it's something like set visibility to visible, right? Set visibility to visible. Now we don't need to interact with the window. We don't need to. I mean, we can change later the fact that the window can have a click through, but for now it's fine. So here we take our visibility. We set this. Yeah, we can delete this one, which is coming. This one is coming from the true one. Huh? Yes, it's coming from this one. So this one we connected here. This one we can then delete, and we have our visibility set for this window, which is nice. We don't need the add to viewport anymore because it's already added to the. So I think when it gets created, right? I don't think I need to do anything else. Let me just check with any other window, but I think I don't need to do anything specific. For example, I think my food is here. So just a second while I'm taking my food, okay? Hold on 1 second. My food arrived. I think I will go to dinner actually. I will have dinner. So, but just to summarize what we did, and I will close the stream. I don't want you to wait, while I'm eating. So, what we, the thing that we're still missing, but we are very close now, is just to hook that window properly for visibility. But we basically did it already. So it just set visibility. You just have to check that it is the right way to do it. Visibility on and visibility off, and then I think the window will work okay, and the spell casting will also work okay. So if you go back to our mission, we did this. We decided to actually create a new command, a new separate function, which is not going through the cast, but is going directly to. So this actually we decided to use what was it called? Cast spell on PC. PC stands for player controller. Okay, so we decided to use cast spell on player controller for K factor spells. Okay, so which is let's say using the mini game, right? Using the mini game of you have to press it properly, otherwise it's not the same. So we decided to use this, and so we called this thing, and I would say that is done. We still enable it on the cast command, which is anyway good because we needed it. We needed that, so that is good. So this is done. Recognize the cast command when pressing a key. In that case, pop up a power widget and K factor. That is done, right? The more you keep the key pressed, the more power you channel into the spell. That is done. Yeah, well, and then let's say we have one which is just test the fact that the spell is actually cast, and it is actually working. We tested it, so test test spell casting actually happens in game. So this one we did it, and is actually working properly as well. Now we still have a few here, like enable selection of self to cast healing spell. Yeah, at the moment I cannot click on myself. I think we disabled it for whatever reason at that time, but we need to enable it again. And think about associating right click to cast one spell. Yeah, that's something we have to think about. Like if you want to have also right clicks. I think at the moment this thing is taking only keyboards. But the problem is that if you associate the right click or the left click, it will mess up with other functions like but anyway, we have to think about it. I don't know. Maybe when we are in so I think here the thing is when in combat mode. I mean, it has to happen only in combat mode, obviously, because if you do it when you are not in combat mode, it will be a mess. I mean, the rest of the UI will not work, right? But yeah, so that's it. I think that's it. So we did. I think we made good progress. I have to say, we made pretty good progress. So I'm happy about it, and I will call it a stream for now. So I will close the stream. Thank you for watching, and I don't know if I can stream tomorrow evening or Tuesday. I really don't know. Depends on my work and real life requirements, let's say. So I will see, but I will try to stream again maybe during the week. See you, boys. Thanks for watching.